Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Gridiron Glory with Tad and Will. Today, we'll be going over a Week 1 NFL matchup with the Minnesota Vikings the Minnesota Vikings going for a road game against the New York Giants. The Vikings came out on top 28-16 in the debut of Sam Darnold in Minnesota, a very efficient and successful game for Sam Darnold, 19 of 24, 208 yards, two touchdowns, one interception. So, not a super flashy stat line, but definitely efficient. Got the job done, got his top receivers involved. It was also the Viking debut of running back Aaron Jones, who flipped from division rival Green Bay for 14 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown in his debut with the Vikings. Also, two catches for 15 yards. So, a very positive start for the Vikings offense. You have Justin Jefferson with four catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. You also have a touchdown catch for Jalen Naylor, his only catch of the game for 21 yards. A big question mark for the Vikings is Jordan Addison, who had three catches for 35 yards but left the game with an ankle injury. So we'll see how that affects him moving forward. But that's what he did in the game. And looking at the defense, it was a breakout debut for Andrew Van Ginkel with his pick six in his Vikings debut coming from Miami, and also an interception for Harrison Smith. So a very positive start to the year for the Vikings on both offense and defense. They played very well against a New York Giants team that had struggled and had been struggling for a few seasons. And this is a Giants team that has a lot of question marks. And they definitely start at the quarterback position. You have Daniel Jones back off of his injury. And it was a very disappointing opening game, 22 of 42, 186 yards, no touchdowns, two interceptions, six rushes for 15 yards. So, not exactly what the Giants fans were hoping to see to start the season.
Yeah, definitely not the start that they were expecting at all. Like Daniel Jones, he comes off of the injury, like I said. He kind of had some time to rehab and recover. And, 22 of 42, 186 yards, two interceptions. So, and this is the guy that they signed to a massive contract deal. So, the Giants are still invested in this guy. But the numbers speak for themselves. So, I don't necessarily know if the Giants, they're a struggling franchise, and with their very inexperienced second year GM, their very young coaching staff. So, they're a team that is young, developing and rebuilding. And even going into this football game here, a lot of people had a lot of question marks around Sam Darnold, whether or not Sam Darnold was going to be able to come out here and play a prolific game of football. But here he is, 19 of 24, 208 yards, two touchdowns, and one interception. He did get sacked one time. Overall, the Vikings offensive line held up against, a pretty decently solid Giants D line. So,
Yeah.
Very impressed there. I was very impressed by Aaron Jones as well. All in all, just a really good showing on the road for the Minnesota Vikings. They go out there on the road, they do what they need to do. Justin Jefferson, we even saw him hit the gritty, once again. So that was great. It was nice to see that. It was refreshing. Jordan Addison, even Josh Oliver, Ty Chandler. So some really big names there. I want to go ahead and get your take real quick on the CJ Ham fumble.
Yeah, that's a fullback that sometimes the Vikings involve him in the passing game. He caught a reception and then he fumbled the football, leading to one of the two Giants field goals. So that was an unfortunate moment for CJ Ham, a veteran leader for the Vikings offense. He provides a lot of value with his blocking. He is instrumental in a lot of the yards that Aaron Jones got as the lead blocker. He's instrumental in keeping the pocket clean. You mentioned just the one sack. The offensive line did a great job there. CJ Ham also did a great job there. Obviously, you'd like to clean up the fumble, especially coming off of a season last year where turnovers were killer for the Vikings, but they did not let the one fumble bite them. They bounced back well, and CJ Ham, he's going to continue to be a factor in the short passing game. He's a good check down target. He's a reliable player, and they'll continue to feed him the ball despite the one fumble.
Also worth noting, I want to give a big shout out to Harrison Phillips. I mean, yeah, he only had the 5 tackles, but he also did get a sack and a tackle for loss. Also, Pat Jones Jr. there, who also got 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. You mentioned Andrew Van Ginkel as well. So, the Vikings definitely had some players that went out there and made some plays. So, really good win for your team, Tad. 1-0 now, and I think we mentioned it before. They play.
Yeah, the Vikings, their next game, their home opener against the San Francisco 49ers. That's going to be a very interesting matchup. So we'll have the Vikings hosting San Francisco. Looking a little more at New York, I mean, I want to get your take on their rookie receiver, Malik Nabers, 5 catches for 66 yards. What's your take on that receiver?
Yeah, Malik Nabers, probably my personal favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Though, I mean, I mentioned Daniel Jones before. That's going to be a little bit tough with who he's got thrown to him, but still, nonetheless. Also, Wayndale Robinson out of Nebraska. Well, I mean, he didn't. Well, he played for Nebraska, but I believe he graduated from
Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah. But at one point, he did play for Nebraska. So, shout out there. And yeah, but Malik Nabers, 5 catches for 66 yards. His longest was 25 yards. I mean, it's one game. It's one game against what was a very stingy Minnesota defense here, especially with Minnesota's secondary. Minnesota's secondary did a great job all game long shutting down New York's receivers. So I certainly do believe that Malik Nabers against the very shaky Washington Commanders defense next week is going to have a breakout game. And I honestly do believe that Malik Nabers is going to show who he really is next week. I expect him to have a full breakout game next week.
Yeah, a very talented young receiver out of LSU. When you have a receiver from LSU, that generally bodes well. I mean, look at the guy on the other side, Justin Jefferson. You got guys like Jamar Chase. So the talent there, it's something that LSU's a factory that can produce wide receivers.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Louisiana State University. Listen, if you are a high school wide receiver and you want to go to the NFL, go to LSU. Yeah. They will transform you into a top-tier NFL wide receiver.
Absolutely.
History speaks for itself. That is a school for wide receivers. So quarterbacks too. And we're going to see that next week when we're going to see some LSU protégés, Malik Nabers, Jaden Daniels, former teammates going up against each other. So that'll be a fun game to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Vikings 28, New York Giants 6. This has been another great take of the Gridiron Glory. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let us know what you think about this football game. And thank you for watching the Gridiron Glory, where we cover all 32 teams.